they are not corrected. And then, since in the age serum it was corrected, therefore, list the factors that are present in the, this is age serum, sorry, age serum that belongs to the common pathway. So in the age serum, what are the present factors? We have 7, 9, 10, 11, and 12. So I'm going to write it down. So in the age serum, it was corrected. Therefore, present or absent? The present factor. So therefore, this is factor 7, factor 9, factor 10, factor 11, and factor 12. Now, the problem is you're gonna, the next part is you're gonna sort out which was repeated. Which was repeated. So which of the following is repeated? Sir, 10 was repeated, 10 and 10, and also 9 and 9. So which factor is definitely what's missing in your patient? So in order to simplify this, that is why I told you, remember what pathway is the problem. If both EPTT and prothrombin time are problematic, then what is the pathway? Common pathway. So let's sort out factor 9, sorry, factor 9, factor 7, and factor 10. 7, 9, and 10 are the factors that are ruled out to be repeating in our diagram. Now, what pathway is factor 7? Extrinsic. What pathway is factor 9? Intrinsic. How about factor 10? Common. Now, the abnormality of the patient, EPT and prothrombin time. What is the factor that is, what is the pathway? Common. Which of the following factors that were repeated are under the common pathway? Factor 10. Therefore, factor 10 is the answer. So I just sorted this out here. So check. The adsorbed plasma, what are absent? I only wrote 2 and 10 since 7 and 9 are just confusing, are just making you confused because they are not found in the common pathway. And in the H serum, it is only factor 10 that is under the common. So you just slash it out, 10 and 10, so that definitely that is the factor that is deficient. So, okay, let's check using table number 1. Okay. In your table number 1, you have it here, factor 10 deficiency. So you have an abnormal APTT, abnormal prothrombin time, but in your APTT and prothrombin time in the adsorbed plasma, they are both not corrected, but in the APTT and PT of the H serum, they are corrected. Therefore, factor 10 is present in your H serum. That is why the patient's result became corrected because it substituted what is lacking in the patient. But since the adsorbed plasma does not have addition, because factor 10 is vitamin K dependent, so it was absorbable. Therefore, it still had an abnormal APTT and prothrombin time. Therefore, the result was still not corrected. So our answer was definitely correct. Okay. That's it. Okay, understood? In case you have confusions, kindly re-listen to this lecture and also, what do you call this, recheck the PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so that ends, but before we end, I'm gonna give you a drill so that you will understand. So let's just say here, I'm gonna make it brief. I will give you a problem. I'm gonna write it first so that I will give you 15 seconds to identify the factor that is deficient. So patient, I'll just write it first so that you won't have a problem. Okay, here, this is your problem. The patient was having an abnormal APTT but normal prothrombin time. You did mixing studies. In the adsorbed plasma, the APTT was not corrected, but in the age serum, the APTT was corrected. So I'll give you 15 seconds to answer before we do the rationalization. And timer starts now. Okay, so we are done. So what is your answer? Factor 9? Are you sure? Okay, we are gonna check if your answers are correct. Okay, so our problem here is APTT abnormal, prothrombin time normal. Repeat APTT by mixing studies, and then in the adsorbed plasma, this was not corrected. In our age serum, it was corrected. So again, for our rationalization, so what pathway is the problem here? So what is the pathway problem here? Intrinsic, correct. Wait. Intrinsic, correct. Why? Because hello? Intrinsic, correct. Sorry, I just buffed because there is something wrong with the monitor. So sorry for that. So the intrinsic is a problem. So since it is not corrected in your adsorbed plasma, what are you gonna write? What are the factors that are missing? 2, 7, 9, and 10. So which of the following factor is absent? So you have factor 9. How about in the age serum? Is it corrected or not corrected? So it is not corrected. So definitely, what is the thing that you're gonna remember? If it is corrected, you need to write what are present. So what are present that are under the intrinsic pathway? So under the intrinsic pathway, going to our table 2, we have it here. What are present? But we're gonna write those who are under intrinsic. Factor 9, 11, and 12. 9, 11, and 12. Here. So what was repeated? Factor 9. So factor 9 is the problem of our patient. Okay, that is the one that is deficient in your patient. So for the next lesson, before we start, you will have a quiz again. So if you don't have any question, that would be all. Class dismissed. Bye.